Hey everybody, it's Alexander A. Manzoni, and today we're going to be doing American Carnage. I'm going to be doing Marty's chapter. All right, doesn't that sound good? Yeah, how about that? U.S. Route 40, Malaga, New Jersey, RSA, Friday, January 18th, 2092, 8:11 a.m. Eastern. Marty drove his lead-lined covered pickup truck north towards Philadelphia. He was searching for a new victim for his choice little parlor games. This new world created the perfect environment to foster murderous sociopaths, craving ultraviolence and gratuitously brutal atavistic satisfaction. They trawled the cities, lone wolves starving hungry for flesh, fresh blood, and viscera. Their crimes were, by and large, blamed on ignorance, which was most unfortunate for them, though very fortunate for this new breed of white-on-white killers. How many people had Marty killed up to that point? Too many, way too many. In a world covered in cameras and bugs, still, people slipped under the radar. People like Marty Mega Longfellow, a great name for a man with such a minuscule micropenis. Among the myriad of others like him, a steadfast collection of wannabe Ted Bundys and Gary Gilmores for a new Republican America. His alibi was ingenious, using information obtained from The Wire. Marty modified a 3D printer to create a replica of his own face and torso. Then he physically copied his retinal print to a discarded set of robot eyes procured from his local recycling center. Then all he had to do was set up his government-issue tablet on a table in his den, making sure to prop it up with a decidedly flimsy plastic stand. For all the government knew, he was there in his home the whole time. Now, if he were stopped by police or drew any suspicions at one of hundreds of military checkpoints in the area, and they found out he didn't have his tablet, he would have been totally screwed. Luckily, he was white, very white, so white that he was always cheerfully waved through with a "How do you do?" while 2 yards away, the other MPs ripped apart some poor old woman's 6-door sedan with saws and crowbars, with German Shepherd Dobie mixes snapping violently at her while she recoiled, handcuffed to the curb. Handcuffed on the curb in abject fear and terror. Exposed to the omnipresent, virulent radiation, her clothes torn to shreds and covered in bloody paw prints. Marty smiled briefly as he moved through the latest checkpoint, then proceeded to frown dismally. It was becoming increasingly difficult to avoid the watchful eye of Securitas while conducting his aforementioned games upon the white female public. There weren't a whole lot of folks strolling about the roadways anymore. People had gotten wise to them, the short cons, the long ones, the medium ones too. 10 miles down the road, Marty began ironically whistling "Can I Get a Witness" by Marvin Gaye as he flipped his left blinker and pulled off into a ramshackle pay-by-the-hour roadside motel called the Easy D. He'd scooped up a prostitute there before. She was hard on her luck and needed someone to bring her to Camden to score more X and crocodile fixins, some bath salts. Perhaps needless to say, she never made it to the city, much like most of the others. He rolled around the parking lot slowly, ocularly inspecting every nook, cranny, and crevice for the whereabouts of his next prospective victim. To his chagrin, there was no one to be found, no defenseless women anyway. In all honesty, Marty didn't have the balls to attack a man. Pathetic. If you talked to his mother, she would tell you her son was the nicest, most kind, responsible child on the face of the planet. You know whose mother also couldn't say enough great things about him? John Wayne Gacy. Feeling like he was wasting too much time, Marty decided to cut his losses and did a K-turn in the icy parking lot. He drove back onto 40, cutting off an automated hazmat 18-wheeler, nearly causing a serious accident. He continued north to Camden, Walt Whitman's old haunt, the last stop before Philly. There was a sizable bus terminal there, filled to the brim with desperate people, mostly the blacks. But there were a few whiteys tucked away here and there if one took the time to look. The problem was that it occurred to Marty that he may not have let enough time elapse since the last time he'd forcefully abducted a white woman from that particular terminal. It had only been 2 weeks. He didn't want to make it a habit to keep returning there over and over. That was how idiots get caught. The thing was, though, that his bloodlust had reached frenzied levels. The addiction to violence was too strong, and it was too easy to coax someone into his vehicle with the promise of a free ride somewhere. Oh, you're in luck, he would say. I'm actually going that way right now. Isn't that something? Sure, I'll help you out, ma'am. His charm and altogether geeky appearance and demeanor was disarming. He just seemed so nice at first. That's what they all said. Of course, I would like to take this chance to point out that they're all dead now. Marty came off 295 and into Camden down MLK Boulevard, passing the hospital on his left. He made a right on the Broadway and initially passed the Mike Pence Memorial Bus Terminal, formerly known as Walter Rand. People dressed from head to toe in radiation suits scurried from the light rail stop across the street. They hurried to their jobs, to their beleaguered lives, dressed in lead, some fashionably, some others otherwise looking mostly like second-rate road warrior extras. And just where was Mel Gibson when we needed him? One could easily tell who the poor were. They were those who weren't wearing those heavy suits, and they were exposed to the radioactive elements, and their appearances reflected that. Many had taken to wearing wigs to cover their exposed scalps, huge goggles to protect their eyes. Those who had forgotten their goggles too many times were either blind or going blind. The strange Ruski particles, they were not the usual sort of radioactive element. They were something altogether more sinister than the usual plutonium-242 used in American nuclear weaponry. It was called plutonium, in honor of the infamous off-shirtless, horseback-riding, ex-KGB presidential calendar boy, Vladimir Putin. Marty traveled a full city block before making a right onto Federal Street. He went down another 2 blocks and pulled into the parking lot of a Taco Tuesday. In the alleyway, a crowd of a dozen or so gutter urchins were hungrily digging through a dumpster with their bare hands. One of them, a black man, was wearing an exceedingly tall Abe Lincoln levels of tall purple felt top hat. Even Marty thought that was odd. In their midst, though, did Marty spot the chalky pallor and pink pajama pants of a white woman. With a spurious calmness, he then puffed on a robot cock vape cig plugged into the dash. As the interior filled with sickly, sweet-smelling birthday cake-flavored smoke, Marty released a plume, grimming reminiscently of Rick Moranis in the granddaddy of Canadian sketch standards, Second City TV. He momentarily observed them, the indigents, feasting on wet trash, while he sat there biding his time with the engine running. Animals, he said to himself, every single one of them. He imagined himself running across America on top of a giant Titanic riding lawnmower, chopping up street people and white women left and right. Oh, going straight through the project ghettos and leaving nothing behind in his wake but dust and a wavering light crimson mist. It was in that exact moment that the bomb went off inside the Mike Pence Memorial Bus Terminal. Thank you very much there. And now a little bit of harmonica to close it out. Hey, Manzoni coming at you live and loud. Thank you very much.